This video will cover an in-product demonstration of the Möbius platform. Now, if you aren't familiar with Möbius itself, Möbius is an online courseware platform focused on STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the central philosophy of Möbius is that students learn best by doing, and this is true in the real life. This is why we give students, homework and lab experiments and so forth. So Möbius is an authoring and deployment environment that utilizes mathematics-aware response areas and applications for summative assessment, but more importantly, for formative assessment. Möbius allows students to get immediate feedback about their understanding in all aspects of the course and provides a framework for guiding students through educational materials in the manner best suited to their individual needs. So this on the screen is the Möbius login page. This is where any user goes to log into the platform. What I'll be doing first is logging in as a student to show you their experience, and then I'll log in as an instructor afterwards. Now, this is Möbius standalone. Möbius can also be accessed and connected to a course management system you already have on your campus for single sign-on or even grade pushing. So here, this is called the system homepage. This is where any user lands. You will see a list of classes you're enrolled in or that you're teaching on this page. So I will click on my demonstration class. And this is the class homepage. This is where students will access the materials for the course. So for example, here at the top is the class details pane. This contains the welcome message from the teacher, along with any instructions or materials the teacher wants them to know throughout the term or the class. Below that is the calendar. This is where students can see due dates and start dates, as well as even add their own personal items to their calendar to keep track of things. And below that is the content, which are organized into units. So units contain lessons and assignments, and lessons and assignments contain questions, exposition, slideshows, video, math apps, and so forth. Now, to flow between pieces of content, you can obviously click on the different units here on the left, and something on the right will appear. You can also then browse, click on any content you want here on the right-hand side. Now, you can also connect things together so that they have to complete work first before accessing future work. And if you are familiar with MapleTA, any assignments you have in MapleTA can be used inside of Möbius, as well as the descriptions here can be modified for each piece of content. Now, I want to highlight the actual content itself, so let me open up a sample lesson and walk you through the different features of lessons inside of Möbius. So a lesson inside of Möbius is a collection of content that's delivered to a student to help them learn and understand concepts, whereas an assignment is a collection of questions meant to assess a student's understanding or to help them practice different concepts they've already learned. So that's the flow that we typically envision inside of Möbius, and this layout that you see here is the lesson navigator. So on the left-hand side are the page titles you can see. You can click on one to access it directly, or you can use the navigation bars at the bottom to go to the next page of the lesson or the previous page, or to go to the next unit item altogether inside of the unit that you're in right now. You can, of course, as well save at any time and continue, or quit and save, which will close the window, and you can go back to the class homepage. So let me talk about these pages and the content within the pages. This first one is on the Taylor series approximation, and the title is called Series Expansions. This is what I would call a prototype of the interaction model we see inside of lessons. It's not in any way what I would recommend you actually deliver to students, but it does highlight different ways to use lessons in the content. So here you have at the top, we have an overview which contains some text and some math. Below that is a little exploration piece. So this contains an actual math app. So here they can actually move the sliders, and the math app above will adapt and respond accordingly. So they can actually use this to learn what they've read about above in the overview section. But then below that is assessment, immediate assessment, to help the student practice and make sure they understand the concepts that they've just learned. So here, I can type in what I think might be the correct answer. How did I do? It'll tell me how I did immediately, provide me feedback. So it helps students to actually go through a lesson, and they're not just reading some text, and having to do homework tomorrow. They can actually explore things using interactive applications and then get immediate feedback and assessment to see, do you actually understand the theory you just read? Does it actually, connect in your head to the practical part of the application? So the next page is on the solar system. And what I want to show here is the ability to customize look and feel of a lesson using CSS or HTML or themes inside of Möbius. So what you see on the screen, the headers, the text, the way the images appear, this can all be customized using CSS and HTML. So you can make the pages and your lessons look exactly how you want them to look inside of Möbius. Furthermore, you can even create HTML5 questions inside of Möbius. You can actually take existing HTML web apps you already have, or create even your own custom solutions that integrate into the assessment system. So this is ideal for both formative and summative assessment. So when I move these planets into the orbits, I'll even receive partial credit for getting some correct and some incorrect. And we feel that these interactive applications can help to improve engagement, to encourage students to look at problems from a different perspective, and to use different modes of thought. Next up, I want to talk about the active slideshow inside of Möbius. So an active slideshow in Möbius, it allows you to create and deploy a slideshow that can or cannot contain narration, that's your choice, and it can contain not just text, math, and images, but also interactive applications and actual inline assessment. And you can actually sync the video that you see on the screen with the audio you put inside the slideshow. So as you can see here, I'm playing my active slideshow. There is no audio with this one, it's just a more of a visual presentation, but you notice that it pauses at a certain point, and it actually has right here an interactive math app built in to the slideshow. And these plots are all live. I can rotate them and move them around. And then when I'm happy and done with learning about this solution, I click on continue and view the rest of my active slideshow. This is a great learning tool. It's definitely used by a lot of people. Let me just go forward a little bit here. As you see, it'll just appear on the screen automatically. So the video is synced up to appear as you tell it to. And the active slideshow is a great tool, not just for lectures, but also for short problem-solving tutorials. So, for example, I'm going to click play here, and you'll hear some audio for a few seconds.
Okay, so the problem we've got here is to solve absolute value of 7x equals x minus 4. And the problem is this absolute value sign. The easiest way to solve an equation like this, where you've got an absolute value, is to get rid of the absolute value. And the way you get rid of an absolute value is to take the thing inside, and the thing in...
So I think that you get the idea here. You can actually have audio synced up to the video. And I'm going to just jump ahead to the end here and just finish up the presentation.
Now it's your turn.
And
when 1 and 2 lesson.
What I want to explain here is that you can actually have algorithmic drill and practice during your active slideshow. So you can actually, as you see here, type in responses for whatever they might be, click something, click how would I do. It'll tell you immediately how you did on the questions, but then click on try another, and notice that the expression here, 2x equals x plus 2, the absolute value of 2x. Click try another. It'll actually algorithmically generate a different version of the same problem. So now we have the absolute value of 5x is equal to x plus 6. So these active slideshows we have inside of Möbius don't just let you play back a video. There are interactive components. There's algorithmic drill and practice possible. You can see solutions, see how you did, pause whenever you want, navigate using the bar below. You have complete control when you are viewing this as a student to go where you want within the slideshow to learn what you want to learn, but to do it effectively as well. And this active slideshow demonstrates what I would call narration-free mode. So when I click on play here, I can just browse the slideshow myself by clicking on the next button here at the bottom. So I can actually go through it at my own pace. And there are different buttons here to talk about at the top of your screen. This one allows you to see the slide notes. So teachers can actually add notes to the slides that you read yourself. This button right here is the glossary. It'll give you the glossary for the slideshow, and this button right here shows you all the slides at once. So I can now scroll down and see them all laid out on the page. And this one allows you to jump to different parts of the slideshow using the navigation menu. And this last page demonstrates how we can use integrated assessment for different learning styles, like activity-based learning. So, for example, in this first question here, I can answer some of them myself. So I type in 6, when x is equal to 1, y equals 13, 20. I can immediately see how I did, and it'll tell me right here immediately which questions I got right and wrong, along with the correct answers. So what I have here is that if I click try another, it'll actually give me the ability to try again, but it's algorithmic. So everything here can be algorithmic. This equation now is different, so my responses will have to be a little bit different. How did I do? And again, it tells me how I did on these as well as the correct answers. So this allows us to identify where a student is struggling and provide feedback and remediation that directly addresses their problems. And here we have another question where it's just simply true or false, and again, it's algorithmic, so we can try a different version of the question. Notice the equation here changing in the point. And lastly, we can also have maple graded questions in Möbius. This allows you to use the actual power of the Maple computing engine to grade your student responses. And this right here is the equation editor, so students can actually type in their math symbols, and it makes sense to them. It looks like math should look inside of an online environment. So now I want to show you how to create some of what you just saw inside of Möbius. So I'm going to actually now log out of the platform by clicking log out in the top right. And now I'm going to log in as an instructor. Now I'm taken to the system homepage, and I'll go to the same class as before, but now you'll see I'm going to the class as an instructor. And you will notice that the class homepage here looks very similar to what the students saw. We have the class message, a calendar, the units on the left, along with the content here on the bottom right. Basically, what you see here as an instructor is what the students will see themselves when they go to your class. But we, as instructors, we do have more options. We have a class info button to update the information of the class. You can add a child class to this particular class. The class user manager in the top menu bar is where you go to manage the users in your class. Proctor tools is where you go to give special permissions to your students. The content repository is where you go to manage and create content, as well as decide what will be displayed on the class homepage for your students to see. The gradebook is where you go to view the grades for your students in your class, and the external menu is where you go to do some various external tasks inside of your Möbius class. So what I want to do is walk you through the lesson we just looked at and see how the content is constructed. So to do that, I'll go to the content repository, and here I can browse through the units and find the lesson I want to edit for you. So I'm going to go to my default unit here and just modify the clone so I'm not affecting any other students in my class, and click on the edit button. Now I'm going to click on the series expansions page title here on the left, and notice that on the right all the content for that particular page loads on top of each other. And this is how the students will see it themselves when they take this lesson. Now content in Möbius is split up into chunks or modularized learning objects, and they can be reused, and this allows for fine-grained interaction data to be captured. Now these chunks include things like questions or applications or slideshows, and once you create them once, you can actually use them anywhere else in Möbius for lessons or assignments. Now notice that each chunk here or object has controls on the left for editing or deleting. So for example, let's say I want to edit some of this content. Let's say I wanted to modify the second question. Notice that a WYSIWYG editor opens up. Now WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. So whatever I type here myself, whatever fonts I choose, whatever colors I choose, how I see things here in the editor is how the students will see it themselves when they take the lesson. So for example, if I wanted to add a math expression of some sort here, let's say open up the equation editor, type in, some math expression. Just to let you know, in the equation editor, you can also use mathematical LaTeX directly. But click OK, and notice that now it appears right here within this block. And this is how I see it, but it's also how the students will see it themselves. Now remember that Möbius is really geared towards inline assessment. And as such, we can add questions anywhere. So for example, let me go up here and add a new question to this page. Notice that another editor opens up here at the bottom. And I'm going to type in a little quick question. I'll insert some math, something simple, the derivative of x squared. Now to make this actually an inline assessment question, I have to insert what's called a response area. And there are lots of different question types to choose from for a response here. For example, I can do clickable image, free body diagram, a drop-down list question, or even for my particular question here, mathematical formula and a particular subtype. So I'm going to type in the correct answer of 2 times x, click OK, and notice I now have a response area here in my WYSIWYG editor. I can also add, if I want to, an algorithm to make this question algorithmic. I can add some feedback, some custom CSS. I'll just give this a quick name and click Save. Notice that I now have a question at the bottom of my page that I just created. I can move this question wherever I want within the page. And notice that now the question is right here. So let me try this question, make sure it works properly. So the answer here is 2x. I will click How did I do? And you'll see it marks it correctly right here in my editor. Now I want to create another piece of content. I'm going to add a new page at the bottom. Now I want to demonstrate how quickly it is to get up and running with a new slideshow. So I'm going to go down here and click on Create New Slideshow. So let me just start by giving a quick overview. At the top is where you obviously put your name of your slideshow. Below that is where you see your list of slides you've created. On the right is then where you actually modify the content within the slides. Below that is the audio and timing area. This is where you manage the transitions for your slides for the content, as well as the audio that you have an option to overlay on top of your slides. And then below that is lots of options and areas to modify the feedback and the notes, and of course the algorithm and custom CSS for your slides. Now one thing to mention as well is in your slide list here you can create new ones by clicking on the new button and choosing a template here. And notice when you click on one, it creates a new slide for you with what you selected. And these templates, you can customize them for your instance. As well, you can also apply a theme to each slide. So a theme will change how it looks. So for example, if I drag Simple Blue to the left here, under Applied Themes and click Apply, notice that the colors change and the content changes. I'm going to create a quick sample slide here using the power rule for my example. So I'll put a title here that says the power rule and the rest of the information below it. So my content is done here. I state the power rule and then I ask a question about it. Now if I click on Preview Slide, notice that everything appears at once. There's no transitions, there's no appearing, there's no disappearing. So if I want to add those transitions, I can close this window. And let's say I want this question to appear after the title and the definition here. Well, I can select it. And notice when I select something, these green and red arrows appear. These represent when something will appear and disappear. So I'll drag this out here. And now I have it set to appear after everything else. Click on Preview Slide now. Notice that I see the first two objects, the title and the content. Then click on the next button and I see the question. And I can actually add transitions for everything here. So I'll click on title and add a transition to come in before the existing one. And then I'll select this content definition part right here, put this in between, click on preview slide, and now everything appears as I would expect, one by one. So first the title, content definition, and then the question. And you also have the opportunity for each transition to have multiple items appear or disappear at the same time. So you're not restricted to just doing one item at a time. You can have them do things in groups. And audio is another thing you can do within the slideshow editor. You can actually record audio on top of your slides that you create. So, for example, I'll go down here and I'll click on the record button. And the record audio window comes up. And this allows me to play back my slideshow and record audio on top of it as I see it in real time. So for example, when I click on the record button here, notice that the waveform now turns red and I can see it. And I can click on the transition now button and talk on top of my slideshow. So for example, I'll do the following. Welcome to my slideshow on the power rule. Let me first give you the definition. The definition is as follows. Now please solve this question yourself. So I just recorded some audio. I can of course play it back to preview it or download it, but I'm happy with it. Click on save and close. I'll of course save the file name and choose the encoding I want to do. And now let me preview the slide to show you my final product. Notice that the waveform now turns red and I can see it. And I can click on the transition now button and talk on top of my slideshow. So for example, I'll do the following. Welcome to my slideshow on the power rule. And I'll just stop it there, but I think you get the idea. So I'll close this for now. And of course you can add more slides or adjust things, but I will save and close this for now and return back to my lesson that I'm creating. And now I will save this and return back to my class homepage to show you a quick preview of the final product. So go here, I'll go to my lesson I just modified. And notice that I have the slideshow here at the bottom that I created, and I can play it back if I want to, and as I update things in editors, it updates here in the slideshow as well. So I hope you enjoyed this improv demo of Möbius itself. If you have more questions or want to learn more, please go to maplesoft.com.